Hello there, welcome or welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hi, my name is Samantha and this is my channel where I talk all about books. Anyway, today I'm coming to you with a video which I'm very sad to be making in a way because it does mean that autumn is here and I am not an autumn girly. I personally am not a huge fan of autumn or fall, whatever you want to call it, because I am fully a summer girly. And unfortunately I live in London, if you didn't know, and here we often don't really have a summer. Like, we'll have a few days here and there where it's nice weather, but most of the time it's raining and it's kind of chilly, and it's basically like autumn but before autumn's even started. So for me, when autumn actually starts, I'm already sick of it. And then also added bonus, or not bonus, drawback I guess, is that then the days start getting shorter, and it's already so clear to me that the days are getting shorter and I'm so sad about it. But the last couple of years I've really tried to romanticize it as much as possible. I, try and appreciate the changing season, the falling leaves, and just kind of embrace it, cozy down with some good reads as well hopefully. Anyway, and I just try and make the most out of it. And to be honest, there's some days where I do walk outside and I don't mind that it's a little bit chilly, but not massively chilly. And as long as it's sunny, I don't mind. I'm rambling a lot about how much I hate autumn, but let's move on from that, and I'm going to tell you about all of the books that I plan to read during this season, hopefully. It is wishful thinking because I'm also getting married in October, so that is going to be very chaotic, but I can hope and dream that I read all of these books, but like, I don't know if it's gonna happen. Anyway, my battery's about to die. That's great. Let me change that real quick. Okay, hopefully that angle hasn't changed too much. Anyway, as I think I was about to say, today I'm going to be doing my autumn/fall TBR. We're going to be talking about all the books that I plan to read during this season. We're going to see how it goes. I don't know how many I'm actually going to read, but we'll see. There are also some repeats from when I did this video last year, so oops, but we'll see what I can do. I have separated this into a few different categories. So we have some witchy books, I've got some atmospheric fantasy books, I've got some what I'm calling cozy core, and I have some other as well, which don't really fit into any of the previous categories. And then I've also got a little category called On My Radar, which for those I will literally go over like the titles and the buzzwords because I don't really know that much about them, but I know that I want to read them at some point soon. But those are literally all romantasy books. I don't typically like to know too much about books before I go into them, so I'm going to give you brief synopses for these books, but if they're not the best synopses ever, it's not my fault. It's because I don't want to know. Anyways, let's start off with the witchy books that I plan to read this autumn. So firstly, we have a repeat offender from last year, which is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I really wanted to read this book last autumn, but in the end, I got approved for the arc of her book that came out last year, which was The Unmaking of June Farrow. So I had to prioritize reading that, and then by the time I had read that and other things, there just wasn't enough time left, and I wasn't in the mood to read it, although I loved her writing style, so I definitely still want to read this one. And I do have it on my Kindle already, so I will definitely be getting to this one. But this book basically follows Emery Blackwood, and one night, however many years ago, her best friend was found dead, and the love of her life, August Salt, was accused of murdering her. So they both left the small town, not together, but they both left. But she goes back and she's just kind of living quietly, running her family business. But strange things start happening, and all of a sudden August comes back to town, and it sounds like old secrets start to come out, and the truth behind Lily's mysterious death might be revealed. So yeah, that definitely sounds very atmospheric. I've definitely heard that this is fall vibes, and definitely a little bit witchy as well. There's some magic going on, but yeah, it seems like it's kind of witchy, but also like a little bit of a murder mystery going on. So yeah, I'm quite excited for that. I feel like her writing style was very eerie and definitely very atmospheric, so I'm excited to read more of it in this book. The next book that I have is the third book in the X-Hex series, and that is The Wedding Witch by Erin Sterling. I am so unbelievably excited for this book. I have loved the first two books so much. They're basically small town witchy rom-coms, and they're the only small town witchy rom-coms I've read and enjoyed thus far. If you're interested, last year I actually did a video where I was reading small town witchy rom-coms and trying to find out if I could find any good ones. So yeah, a little bit of a spoiler, but if you wanted to check that out, I'll link it up in the card because that was a really fun video to make. And I am so excited for this one. This follows the third brother of the three brothers that are like the love interests in this series, called Bowen Penhallow, and basically he is the only one who's still in Wales. The other two have both moved to the US where they've met their other halves, and basically he's invited to this Yuletide wedding, and there he comes across Tamsin Bly, who's not a witch, witch, but she sells magical items, and she and Bowen actually already know each other, but they're both going to this wedding and they're sneaking around in the house. And it says a mix of a very strong spell combined with a wedding mishap transports Bowen and Tasman into the house's past to the Yuletide celebration of 1957. They must work together to get back to the present. And yeah, I don't know. I'm really excited for this one. As I said, I've really enjoyed the first 2 books in the series, so I'm excited to read this one as well because I'm sure it's just gonna be a fun witchy time. The next one on my list is another small town witchy rom-com, which has actually been on my radar for years, and I've been meaning to read it for ages, and I just haven't got to it yet. But that is Payback's a Witch by Lana Harper, and the sort of like tagline of this is chilling adventures of Sabrina meets the L Word in this fresh, sizzling rom-com. And I haven't actually watched either of those shows, but I did used to love Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but don't think that's the same. And basically in this one, by the sounds of it, our main character Emmy has left her small town a few years ago due to her complicated family and also because of her ex Gareth Blackmore, and so she's kind of sworn never to go back to her hometown. But there's a spellcasting tournament that's being hosted there, and her family is very involved in it, so she basically has to come back to help run the tournament. Basically on the first night back, she runs into this person called Talia, and Talia is fresh off a breakup from Gareth Blackmore, so they end up working together to kind of screw him over, but things might happen between them. But anyway, I'm really excited to read this one. It's the first one in like a 5-book series, I think, and they all have such beautiful covers as well, so I really hope I like this one and I can buy them because yeah, they're so beautiful. I'd love to have them all. The next one on my list is also a witchy book, however it's not a witchy rom-com, and it's actually a sequel, and that is Blood and Honey by Shelby Mahurin. This is the second book in the Serpent and Dove trilogy, and I recently read Serpent and Dove in July, and I absolutely loved it. I didn't actually end up talking about it on my channel because it was for like a secret video, which I've kind of scrapped, but maybe not. Like I'm keeping the footage, but I'm not working on it at the moment. But yeah, basically I read this book and I loved it. It was so much fun. Like, I don't think it's the best book ever written, but I just ate it up, and it had tropes that I really like. And so basically it follows our main character Lou, and Lou is a witch living in this historical alternative France, and basically she's living in this city and magic has been outlawed and witches are considered to be very dangerous, so they are hunted by witch hunters. And basically her path crosses with this guy called Reed, who is the head of the witch hunters. Due to a few different circumstances, they end up having to get married and sort of fake a relationship. Obviously a witch and a witch hunter is not a combination that you would put together, so there's a lot of secrets being kept. But recently I've really been into the sort of enemies to lovers forced marriage trope because I also really loved the show My Lady Jane. I haven't read the book. I will read it at some point, but yeah, I really loved the show, and I read this book at like the same sort of time, and I just realized that it's a trope that's really fun to me. I don't know, I'm really into it at the moment, and I just ate Serpent and Dove up, and I'm really excited to see how the series continues on. Unfortunately, Blood and Honey and the final one, which I forgot what it's called, they both have lower ratings than Serpent and Dove, so I feel like this is a series that gets worse as you go, but I'm still excited to continue on and see what I think. The final book in this category of witchy books is another witchy romantasy, and that is The Crimson Moth, which is Heartless Hunter, but it just has a different title in the UK than in the US. So yeah, here it's called The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli. This sounds very similar to Serpent and Dove, so I feel like I'm really gonna like it, hopefully, as long as it's not too similar. But let me just read what it says on Goodreads. So it says, on the night Rune's life changed forever, blood ran in the streets. Now, in the aftermath of a devastating revolution, witches have been diminished from powerful rulers to outcasts ruthlessly hunted due to their waning magic, and Rune must hide what she is. Spending her days pretending to be nothing more than a vapid young socialite, Rune spends her nights as the Crimson Moth, a witch vigilante who rescues her kind from being purged. When a rescue goes wrong, she decides to throw the witch hunters off her scent and gain the intel she desperately needs by courting the handsome Gideon Sharp, a notorious and unforgiving witch hunter loyal to the revolution, who she can't help but find herself falling for. I don't know what that face was. I apologize. Gideon loathes the decadence and superficiality Rune represents, but when he learns that Crimson Moth has been using Rune's merchant ships to smuggle renegade witches out of the Republic, he inserts himself into her social circles by pretending to court her right back. He soon realizes that beneath her beauty and shallow facade is someone fiercely intelligent and tender who feels like his perfect match. Except what if she's the very villain he's been hunting? I'm very excited. So it sounds quite similar to Serpent and Dove, but also different enough that I think I'm still going to really enjoy this one. And yeah, I can't wait. I cannot wait to read it. I've almost picked this up so many times already. I've got it on my Kindle and I'm so excited. And then I think the second book is coming out early next year, and it's just a duology. So that's excellent. I won't have to wait too long if I like it. Alright, now we're going to move on to some atmospheric fantasy, starting off with actually a reread. So that is Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crow by Jessica Townsend. This is the first book in the Nevermore series, which is a middle grade series following our main character, Morgan Crow. And she is basically a cursed child in this universe, and she is destined to die on her 11th birthday. But moments before her 11th birthday, she is rescued and swept away to the magical city of Nevermore by Jupiter North. And basically she is given the opportunity to join the Wondrous Society, but in order to join, she has to compete in 4 trials, one of which is going to showcase her special talent, what they call a knack, which she doesn't have. And this is just such a fun, wonderful story. I really, really like this book. I read it before once in 2020, and I've been meaning to reread it for a while because I wanted to continue on with the series, but I realized I couldn't really remember what happened in this. So yeah, I've been wanting to reread it for ages, but I didn't have the second book, and then I saw that my library has the audiobooks. So I'm actually currently reading this at the moment. I'm listening to it on audio, and I'm really enjoying this. It's a really great time. The audiobook is actually great as well. The narrator does so many different voices. So yeah, it's really good. I would highly recommend it. The next book that I have is actually an ARC that I got, which is such a beautiful copy, but the title is actually on the back. This is called The Great When by Alan Moore, and this is coming out on the 1st of October. So I really need to get to it this month because I don't want to review it late. But this is basically a historical fantasy which has multiple Londons, and it follows our main character, Dennis Knuckleyard, who is a hapless 18-year-old, and he works and lives in a secondhand bookstore. Basically, one day he's asked to retrieve this book, and it actually shouldn't exist because it's a book that's in another book. So it's a fictional book which isn't supposed to exist, but it's actually there. And this basically introduces him to this other London, which is where the book actually came from. And he's instructed that if he doesn't return this book to that other London, he's going to be killed. So this sort of sets off a journey and sort of throws Dennis into the center of all of this chaos with different Londons. And I'm very excited to read it. As I've already said in this video, I live in London, so I'm always excited to read books in London, even if I hate living here. That's neither here nor there. But I like reading books that are set here. And I do also quite like books about books. So yeah, I'm very excited to get to this one very soon. The ARC is absolutely gorgeous. I actually prefer it to the original cover. That's the original cover, which is also gorgeous. But this ARC it's got gold foil, which is just so pretty. Anyway, the next one on my list is Air by Tahir. I also have an ARC of this from NetGalley, and this is coming out on the 1st of October as well. And honestly, I don't know much about this book, and I don't really want to know too much about this book. All I know is that it is a new adult fantasy from Tahir, who has such an amazing writing style. I really enjoyed the An Ember in the Ashes series, specifically the earlier books in the series. I wasn't super happy with the conclusion of it, but I absolutely loved those books. And this is actually a spin-off of those books, which I didn't realize. Otherwise, I would have done a reread of An Ember in the Ashes, although I don't actually have my copies anymore. Give it to a friend. Now I'm like, I really want to reread it, but it's fine. Anyway, so I don't want to know too much about this going into it, but I'm pretty sure this is following 3 different characters from very different backgrounds. We've got an orphan, an outcast, and a prince, and a killer who will bring an empire to its knees. And I think they're all going to have to work together, but I don't want to know too much about this. So sorry that I'm not really giving a synopsis on this. I just want to read it and find out what it's about as I go. But yeah, that's coming out on the 1st of October, and I will be reading that because I got an ARC. The next one is yet another ARC. Sorry, I've got a lot of like atmospheric ARCs that I've been saving for this time of year. So the next one is The Courting of Bristol Keats by Mary E. Pearson, and this is coming out on the 14th of November. This is an adult fantasy with romance in it as well, I believe. And again, I'm just gonna read you the synopsis because I feel like I don't actually remember what this is about. I'm just excited about it. I thought it sounded good. The cover is really beautiful, and I've never actually read anything by Mary E. Pearson before, but The Kiss of Deception was so popular for such a long time that I really feel like I should read it. So the synopsis says, after losing both their parents, Bristol Keats and her sisters struggle to stay afloat in their small, quiet town of Bowes Keep. When Bristol begins to receive letters from an aunt she's never heard of who promises she can help, she reluctantly agrees to meet and discovers that everything she thought she knew about her family is a lie. Even her father might still be alive, not killed, but kidnapped by terrifying creatures to a whole other realm. Desperate to save her father and find the truth, Bristol journeys to a land of gods and fey monsters. Pulled into a dangerous world of magic and intrigue, she makes a deadly bargain with the Fey King. But what she doesn't know is that he's the one who drove her parents to live a life on the run, and he is just as determined as she is to find her father, dead or alive. So that sounds very exciting, very atmospheric and dark. I'm very excited to read that at some point very soon. How many times can I say very in one sentence? Jesus Christ. The next one I've got is one that I have been meaning to read for years, and I honestly thought it was never going to happen. And then the library that I was working at, they were getting rid of their copy, and I was like, well, I'll take that home because if I own it, then I will actually read it. But that is Strange the Dreamer by Lady Taylor. I cannot believe I haven't read this, but equally I can because it's me. But I read her other series, the Daughter of Smoke and Bone series, although saying that, I think I only read first Did I read the whole series? I can't remember if I finished the third book or not. But basically, I read the first book and I loved it. And I tried to read the second book and I could not get through it. She's got such a beautiful writing style. Anyway, so I don't know why I haven't picked this up because I love her writing style. I'm sure you know what this is about because this has been out for years. I think it came out in 2016 or 17. 2017. But I really want to get to it and I've been saving it until the autumn because I actually got this earlier this year. But I thought it would be a really good read for the autumn. Or if I don't get to it in autumn, I'm sure it would be a good winter read as well. But cross your fingers for me. I can see this being a November read. But this basically follows our main character, Laszlo Strange, and he's always been obsessed with this lost city of Weep. And basically he's never had the courage to go and like look for it, but an opportunity presents itself. And he basically decides to go and search for this lost city of Weep and try and solve some mysteries that are going on in his life as well. I don't want to say too much because I don't know too much about it and I'm just very excited to go into it and enjoy a wonderful, fantastical, atmospheric time. Definitely want to get to this before the end of the year. Also, this is like a relatively floppy paperback for a UK paperback. Like, it's got a decent amount of flop to it. Anyway, the last book in this category is one that I have been meaning to read for years. I bought it in 2020 and I was like so excited to read it, but I have not touched it. Anyway, and that is Chain of Gold by Cassandra Clare. There are so many like fallen leaves on this cover and it's very like dark. And so I feel like it must be set in autumn. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like it's giving autumn and I should read it in the autumn. This is another book that's set in London, which is exciting. Maybe I should do a video of like just reading books that are set in London, but I don't know how interesting that would really be. Anyway, I'm not gonna go into what this is about because this is the first book in the 4th series within this world, but it's a Shadowhunter book. If you didn't know, Cassandra Clare mostly writes Shadowhunter books and it's following like a few different Shadowhunter families and their offspring. And it is historical as well. I don't remember when it's set, but it's not set in present day. 1897. I will get to this one this year, otherwise I'm gonna cry because it's been too long that I've owned this. I bought this in 2020 and I haven't touched it. Okay, now we're moving on to my cozy books. I've only got a couple. So the first one I've got is this adorable little book. Again, this is an ARC that I got and this is coming out on the 3rd of October. And it's called Mornings with My Cat Me. And this is by Mayumi Inaba, translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori. And I am just so excited to read this. This sounds so cute and cozy. I feel like cats just embody coziness. And this is basically the story of Mayumi Inaba finding this kitten on a riverbank in Tokyo and rescuing the kitten and just the life that they had together for 20 years and the time they spent together, and I am so excited. And it does cover different seasons, but I feel like it's very cozy core. So I think this is going to be a perfect read for autumn. I'm very excited to read it. Thank you very much to Vintage Publishers for giving this to me. I also should have thanked Bloomsbury for giving me the Great Wen. So thank you, Bloomsbury, for the Great Wen. Very excited to read both of these books. The next and final book in this little cozy section is The Teller of Small Fortunes by Julie Long. I am so excited for this one. This is also another ARC. Sorry, but not sorry. This is coming out on the 5th of November, and this is basically the story of Tao. She is an immigrant fortune teller traveling between villages with just her trusty mule for company. She only tells small fortunes, whether it will hail next week, which boy the barmaid will kiss, when the cow will calve. She knows from bitter experiences that big fortunes come with big consequences. Even if it's a lonely life, it's better than the one she left behind. But a small fortune unexpectedly becomes something more when a semi-reformed thief and an ex-mercenary recruit her into their desperate search for a lost child. Soon they're joined by a baker with a need for adventure and, of course, a slightly magical cat. Tao sets down a new path with companions as big-hearted as her fortunes are small, but as she lowers her walls, the shadows of her past are closing in, and she'll have to decide whether to risk everything to preserve the family she never thought she could have. Sounds so cute. What's not to like? We've got a baker, we've got a magical cat, found family, cozy vibes. I'm very excited for this one, and it has really good reviews so far, so I cannot wait to get to this very soon and let you know what I think. Now we've got onto my other section. So we've got a paranormal romance in this section and a young adult thriller. We'll see if I get to them, hopefully. So the first book in this section is The Marionettes by Katie Wismer. I've talked about this book so many times before. I put it on so many TBRs and I still haven't read it. But basically, the main things I know about this book is that it is a paranormal romance and it follows vampires, and I think also there are witches. And it's basically set in like an academy, kind of more like a college setting because it's like a new adult book. And it follows our main character Valerie, and she wants to join the Marionettes, Marionettes, which is a prestigious league of witches sworn to serve the vampires. And she is a blood witch, and basically she's going to have to go through some trials to get into the Marionettes. And it seems like there's a lot of sabotage and secrets going on. Very excited to get to this. I've heard that it's like Vampire Academy vibes, but like more adult. And yeah, I'm just very excited for this. I've heard a lot of things about it. And next we have the young adult thriller, and that is Death at Morning House by Maureen Johnson. She wrote the Truly Devious series, which I really loved. I am very excited for Truly Devious number 6 whenever that's coming out. I don't know. We haven't had any updates yet, I don't think. But in the meantime, she's released this book. I think it came out at the end of August. And this basically follows our main character, Marlo. And basically things are not going well for Marlo at the moment. This house recently set on fire and everyone thinks that she did it. And she had just managed to get a date with her dream girl when this fire happened. And now no one in the town is interested in knowing her, basically. So she ends up getting this summer job at Morning House, which is a mansion built on an island in the 1920s, and it was abandoned shortly thereafter. She's basically giving ghost tours almost, and then all of a sudden these deaths start happening. So I'm very excited to read this one. It sounds like not the same as Truly Devious, but kind of a similar sort of vibe maybe. And yeah, I'm just really excited to read this very soon. I'm probably gonna try and pick it up on audio because I really liked the Truly Devious audiobooks. Definitely want to pick this one up soon. I really enjoy her young adult thrillers. They're very fun, and I feel like I don't want to read like adult thrillers so much because it's just a bit intense, whereas young adult thrillers are a little bit more, not lighthearted, but I feel like they're not as graphic as like adult thrillers. Anyway, I'm very excited to read that. Okay, and now we've got onto my on my radar section. So this is going to be rapid fire because I don't know very much about them. So first of all, we have Fear the Flames by Olivia Rose Darling. All I know about this one is that it's dragons, and I'm very excited about it. Hopefully it will be on par with Fourth Wing, maybe better. Who knows? The next one I've got is The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. I don't know a ton about this, but I think it's like to do with demons or devils or gods. Something to do with that, I think. And I don't know, I've just heard a lot of buzz about this recently, but I don't really remember what it's about. But I'm interested. I'm intrigued. I think it'll probably be good for this season, judging by the cover. Next, we have Throne of the Fallen by Carrie Maniscalco. After I discovered that I really love the enemies to lovers forced marriage trope, I tried to look for more books with that, and I think this was one of the ones that came up. And I've never actually read anything by Carrie Maniscalco, but I've heard pretty good things about this series, and if it is enemies to lovers forced marriage, I want to read it. I'm definitely interested in this one. I think I just got this on Kindle. Did I just get this on Kindle? No. I got the next one on Kindle. The next one I've got is The Bridge Kingdom by Danielle L. Jensen. I've never actually read anything by Danielle L. Jensen before, but I've heard a lot about her books. And again, this one has the enemies to lovers forced marriage trope. So I'm really excited to get to this one. I think this one is Fae, and I actually just got it on my Kindle yesterday because it was on sale. So yeah, I'll definitely be reading this one very soon. And finally, the last Romantasy enemies to lovers forced marriage trope book that I want to read hopefully soon is These Hollow Vows by Lexi Ryan. I know nothing about this one beyond the fact that it has that trope that I've been enjoying. Anyway, but yeah, those are all of the books that I want to read or are on my radar for this autumn season. We'll see if it happens. As I said, I'm getting married. I'm also going on my honeymoon. It's only going to be a week, but still, I probably won't read that much because I think Alex will be annoyed if I just spend the whole honeymoon reading. But yes, that is a truly ridiculous number. I think I had 15 books on the actual TBR and then 5 books on my radar. So like, am I going to read 20 books in the next 3 months? Probably not, especially because I have some themed reading vlogs that I want to film which have specific books for them. So, and those aren't even on this list. So we'll see what happens. But yes, anyway, that is all that I have for this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you liked it. If you did, please give a thumbs up. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe down below. And if you made it all the way to the end of the video, please leave me some falling leaves emojis, and also let me know your thoughts on any of these books if you've read them, or let me know what you're planning to read this fall. I would love to know. But that's all that I have. So I'll see you very soon with another video. Bye.